Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to have a look at a deep dive into a claims example from an insurer in Hong Kong. I'm going to go over the settlement details, sort of the breakdown of what you need to look for, and what to expect generally in a claims example. Let's get to it. All right, so the first thing I want to mention is that we need to be mindful that these claims need to be medically necessary. So the doctor has to actually diagnose you with a certain procedure that he would recommend or she would recommend, and then you can then make a claim. Now these claims we're talking about are inpatient claims. So you have to have been at the hospital, a registered hospital, for either a minimum of a day, as in a day case procedure, or a minimum of a night, or subsequent nights. We're not talking about outpatient, which is generally covered in a different part of the plan or a different part of your medical. We're talking about inpatient, so hospitalization type of claim. All right. We're going to have a look at generally a group medical type of setup in Hong Kong. It's generally similar to this one presented. We have a look at, the benefit items, the room and board, attending doctor's fees, consultation fees for specialists, hospital expenses. Those are generally grouped into sort of one category called hospital expenses. And for that, there are certain limits for the plan. And then you go into what is quite important, which is the classification of a certain diagnosis or of a certain procedure, surgical procedure. So for the surgeons, anesthetists, or the operating theater, generally it has to be defined as a major, intermediate, minor, or complex. So depending on your diagnosis, it can have subsequent effects on the limits of each of these. So how do we actually classify what is a complex, major, intermediate, or minor? Well, the group medical might not give it to you in the provisions. However, in a private medical, such as FWD's V Prime, at the back of a policy document you'll see here, they actually give you a rough idea of what the categorization is and what they categorize each diagnosis is. So you can have a look at there, and that's a very good reference. I think that's quite self-explanatory. But then we go into the actual claim process, whereby you have something happen to you. All right, and you're like, hey Michael, there's something that's happened to me. We need to go have a look at a specialist. They've said we need this procedure, and what do I do? Well, generally, if you have a top-up medical, you would go with your group medical first, and then you would go with your top-up medical in terms of a pay and a claim back procedure. And we would generally send out this email, which basically says, please be mindful that it is a pay and claim procedure. Please be mindful that the room type election for your plan is semi-private. If it's a V Prime plan, for example, if it's a different plan, it could be private, depending on which medical plan you have. So then it goes into deductible and claim. And then it also has, mentions of what to expect. Basically, the group medical will give you a breakdown of what was paid and who was and how it was paid, and then what the balance is. The original hospital bill is needed, and basically all these copies need to be submitted along with the hospital and accident claim form. So the only urgency, you have 90 days here, but the only urgency is actually to get the doctor to sign and fill in the hospital medical claim form, which is here. So we would have sort of pre-filled this, or you can pre-fill it yourself, fill it out yourself, print it out, or we can run it to you. But basically, basic details: the insurer, the accident particulars, when it happened, the consultation and hospital particulars, name of the doctor, any other insurance coverage. We would put this in for you as well. And then payment instructions is for later. But more importantly is signature of the claimant would be the signature of the insured person or the injured person. And then if it's not the policy owner, then the policy owner would sign here as well, being their spouse, their parent, whatever. So that's sort of here. And more importantly is this section, part 2, is to be completed by the attending doctor or surgeon. And so you would basically just give this form to the doctor, and they would write down very clearly the diagnosis, what happened, the hospitalization details, when was it first diagnosed, the final diagnosis, etc. So that's actually right here. And then the any professional comments, and he or she would sign with CHOP, and so that makes it sort of legal. So this is the original hospital claim form. All right. So that's what is a bit more pressing. This is an example by FWD. Obviously, all insurers are very, very similar. So you would need to get that organized. And so the surgery happens, and then after the surgery, obviously the recovery, but then you're now dealing with the bills. So you would pay the hospital bill either with the group medical card. They may cover all of it first, and then send you a bill for the difference in what they're not covering. So let's say the bill is $100,000. Let's say they're only covering $70,000. They'll pay for maybe the $100,000 depending on the terms, and then you would have to reimburse them after they finish their calculations from the claims department, the difference, call it $30,000. But now we're saying this amount you can actually offset with an FWD policy or a top-up medical policy. And how does that work? So just to give you a general overview, here is a claim that I did for a client, and is the settlement details. So if we have a look at it, basically it gives you the details of, sort of the policy owner, and then the hospital claim, surgeon's fees, anesthetist operating theater costs. Those are all listed down here. Room and board, doctor's visits fees, miscellaneous, and any other charges. So that part up here is what we actually mentioned in the group medical, and the eligible amount is also here. Okay, so you have the claim amount and you have the eligible amount. Then in this case for FWD, you have the deductible, which is $50,000 deductible in his case. And the amount paid by another insurer is $137,605. All right. So that insurer is from his group medical. And if you look down here, the other insurer is actually a company called AIA in this case. So that's actually on right there. So the claim balance from AIA, okay, and it fulfills the annual deductible of $50,000. So AIA via the group, because AIA does group cover as well, is paying $137,000, okay, and basically there's a cash benefit for him as well in this case, and then the $50,000 is his deductible. So really the balance to him payment is $17,000. So it's very clearly laid out. Okay, he fulfills the deductible amount of $50,000. Okay, if there's an exchange rate, so the check number, the date, whatever is paid to him. So it's very clearly laid out what it is. Now this one doesn't actually show the breakdown of a complex major or minor. Doesn't matter because it's well within the amount of the group cover. So therefore, it's not really mentioned specifically here. All right. So that is basically how a settlement works. We get the check and we just basically deposit it in for the client, and that's that. Now, the key with a V Prime, if you will, the $50,000 deductible is already done, and that is once per year. So let's say in a few months' time, something else happens during that same effective policy year. Well, then this 50 is not needed anymore, and we can go direct to the same, if it's the same case, to the same surgeon, for example, or we can go direct to the hospital and have that done without the group cover applying, because the group cover might have already been exhausted, the limits for that year. All right, so that is basically all I wanted to cover in this video. I hope you found it useful. I think that, going forward, we've had a few successful claims already. We still have 2 in progress. We monitor and chase up for our clients. And so we have a team secretary that does that, as well as, just calling them now and then, getting approvals, what else is missing for the claim. So it's a full concierge type service that we're providing. And I hope that this video actually demystifies the claim procedure. People are generally distrustful of insurance companies. I get that because they haven't paid or claimed. They haven't been able to make a claim properly before. But I think that's generally certain provisions that were not followed from that client, which led to a claim being void, if you will. So those are generally in the provisions. And if you want to check out more on that, we actually go over a bit of a deep dive into a policy provision such as the VHIS plan. That's in the deep dive at the FWD Moments app. We go through a policy provision there, so you can have a look at some of the exclusions, or talk to your advisor. So please check out that video. And if you enjoyed what I'm presenting, please give me a like and a subscribe. That would really help me and help my channel. And that's it for this video. So I hope you found it useful. Thank you for staying to the end, and I'll see you in the next video.